When you stop being available, everything changes. When was the last time you were truly alone? Without having to explain yourself, without your phone lighting up, and without guilt for resting. If that question made you pause, then this message is for you. Something powerful happens when you stop being emotionally, mentally, and physically available to everyone. The world around you changes. But more importantly, you change. You don't notice it at first. How often you say yes when you mean no. How fast you reply. How often your silence gets filled with the noise of others. Without realizing it, you've trained the world to expect your energy on demand. And people take it, not out of cruelty, but because you've taught them your boundaries are negotiable and your attention is free. It begins with one small compromise, then another, until one day your inner world feels foreign to you. You find yourself tired, not from activity, but from emotional access. You're drained, not from giving, but from overexposing your spirit to those who don't even ask how you're really doing. You don't just lose energy from working too hard. You lose it by being too open to the wrong people at the wrong times, for the wrong reasons. No one told you that your presence is currency, and the more freely you spend it, the less valuable it becomes. People get used to your availability like they do a light switch. You're expected to answer, to show up, to carry the weight. But how often do you receive that same energy in return? What do you get back? A quick thank you, a moment of real concern, a genuine question about how you're holding up, or is it silence until you're needed again? When you make yourself too available, you stop being a person in their lives. You become a service, and services aren't appreciated. They're used. Now imagine closing that emotional store. You decide to stop explaining, to stop justifying, to stop showing up where your soul doesn't feel safe. That decision sends shockwaves. People notice the absence. They ask what's wrong, but nothing is wrong. You're just unavailable for what drains you. Suddenly, your silence speaks louder than your words ever did. Some will try to pull you back. They'll call you distant, cold, even selfish. But they aren't upset because you did something wrong. They're upset because they lost access. The version of you that was convenient is gone. You gave without being asked. You showed up when you were tired. You answered when you had nothing left. And now that you don't, they don't know what to do. But here's where the deeper challenge begins. Pulling away might make sense to your mind, but it hurts your heart. You'll feel guilty for ignoring that call. You'll wonder if you should have answered that message. You'll replay conversations in your head, questioning if you're being too harsh. But pause. Think about what taught you to feel that way. Maybe it was a belief planted long ago that your value is in how quickly you respond, how much you do, how little space you take up. You were told that if you weren't always available, you'd be forgotten. If you weren't always ready, you'd be replaced. But emotional availability doesn't bring love. It often brings dependence. And dependence is not love. The people who truly value you will understand your silence. They will respect your space. They'll wait with kindness. The ones who don't, they'll disappear. And that's okay. Let them, because your energy is too precious to be on tap for people who only show up when they need something. Silence is not weakness. It is a decision. It is self-respect in action. We live in a world that demands fast replies, immediate validation, and total access. But true wisdom says the opposite. Be intentional. Be slow to give. Be rooted within yourself before giving to others. Marcus Aurelius taught that your soul strengthens when you hold back your energy instead of spending it recklessly. When you react less, you notice more. When you become harder to reach, people begin to realize the weight of your presence. Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to meet society's expectations. You say you're fine when you're breaking inside. You smile when you feel invisible. You become the version of yourself that's easiest for others to digest. But the longer you wear the mask, the harder it becomes to recognize the person underneath. When you finally stop playing the role, people react. They're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the removal of the mask. They didn't know you. They knew your act. And when that act ends, the silence terrifies them. They'll say you've changed, that you're cold now. But what they mean is, you're no longer performing for their comfort. Stepping away makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to face themselves. And many people aren't ready for that. So they lash out. They push back. They stir up. Drama not because you're wrong, but because you stopped being a mirror for their needs. This is where you take your power back. You stop responding to every message right away. You stop apologizing for needing space. You stop feeling bad for not being everything to everyone. You start protecting your peace, like it's the most important thing in the world, because it is. You realize solitude is not loneliness, clarity, and saying no doesn't need a reason. It just needs confidence. You start to ask real questions. Who deserves access to my heart? Who drains my energy? Who brings confusion more than peace? And when you ask those questions honestly, your life begins to recalibrate. You start to feel whole again. You pull away from the noise. You become unavailable on purpose. And for the first time, your energy is not leaking. It's glowing. Yes, some people will leave your life. Let them. Some will misunderstand. Let them. Because the ones who are meant for you, they won't be threatened by your silence. They won't demand access. They'll respect your rhythm. They'll wait for the real you, without pressure. When you stop being available to everyone, you finally become available to yourself. You begin to choose your life instead of reacting to it. You become a sacred presence against something rare, not something predictable. You become powerful, not by making noise, but by choosing your silence. And in that silence, the real you is born. Take back your energy, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in peace. Because the moment you stop being available to everyone is the moment you finally come home to yourself.